Okay, we really need to talk about something that's happening in hiring right now. It's a pretty disturbing trend. It might start out looking like a normal assessment, but where it ends up, that's the real problem. And listen, the story I'm about to walk you through, this isn't some made-up scenario. This is real.
It all kicks off with this number, 11. Yeah, 11 separate technical rounds. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Can you even imagine the kind of endurance that takes?
And if you thought 11 was bad, here's the next number. 100. We're talking 100 hours of work. That is more than 2 full-time weeks that some poor candidate poured into just one single hiring process.
And right here, this is where the story just takes a nosedive. This wasn't some sandbox project, This wasn't just a test. The company took the code that came out of those 100 hours and they merged it directly into their live production codebase. They actually shipped it. So let's recap. 11 rounds, 100 hours of labor. Your work is literally live being used by their customers. And what's the outcome? A simple, cold rejection. This is so far beyond a tough interview process. This story, well, it forces all of us to ask some really, really hard questions. And here's the really uncomfortable part. That story, it's not a one-off. It's not some crazy outlier. It's actually a symptom of a much, much bigger problem. So let's kind of pull back the curtain and look at what candidates are really facing out there today. So picture this. You're asked to do a week-long take-home project. You're not just building some little toy app. You're building a real feature, something that could go right into a live product. You pour, 40, 50, maybe even 100 hours of your professional, skilled labor into this thing, and then what happens? So often, it's just silence. You get ghosted, no offer, and absolutely zero compensation for the real value you just handed over. Okay, so this really gets to the heart of it, right? We have to be able to tell the difference between a fair assessment and what is just, frankly, exploitation. And that means every single hiring manager, every leader out there really needs to take a hard look in the mirror and ask some tough questions. And the first question is the big one. Where is that line? At what point does a rigorous hiring process stop being about finding the right person and start being a convenient excuse to get free work done? And then there's everyone's favorite get-out-of-jail-free card, culture fit. I mean, let's be real. How often is that just a vague, convenient excuse to say no to someone after you've already taken and used their valuable work? This isn't just about a bad process anymore. This is about basic fundamental integrity. So it all boils down to this, doesn't it? When does a thorough evaluation cross that bright red line and just become exploitation? Because that line, it feels like it's getting blurrier and blurrier. And frankly, a lot of companies are just stomping right over it without even looking back. And what this all reveals is this just massive disconnect, a real hypocrisy, On one hand, you hear a company say, oh, we have a talent shortage. But then what do? They treat candidates like they're completely disposable. They'll talk your ear off about valuing the candidate experience and then turn around and use unpaid work in their live products. They preach about their amazing corporate values, but their actions are normalizing exploitation. Look, you just can't have it both ways. So, okay, what do we do about it? What's the fix? I think it's time we stop getting lost in all the gray areas and just draw a hard, clear, ethical line in the sand. We need a simple manifesto for how to hire fairly. And the principles are actually super simple. Let's break it down. 1. If a candidate's work is good enough to merge into your code, it is absolutely good enough to be compensated, period. 2. If your assessment is going to take more than, say, 4 hours, you either pay for that time or you find a different way to assess them. Don't ask for it. And 3, and let's just be blunt here, using a candidate's work in your live production environment, that is not an assessment. That's theft. And really, this is the main point. If you take one thing away, let it be this. Your hiring process is supposed to evaluate skill. It's supposed to see if someone is a good fit. It should never, ever be a sneaky way to extract free value or to get candidates to solve your company's immediate business problems for you. And hey, for any leader out there who thinks this kind of stuff doesn't have real consequences, you need to think again. The talent market has a very, very long memory. Candidates talk to each other. They post on Glassdoor. They tweet about it. They tell their friends. Every single decision you make in your hiring process is building your company's reputation, either for the better or for the worse.
So this all leads us to one final really crucial point. This isn't just some interesting topic to debate over coffee. This is an issue that really demands you take a stance. And so, to wrap this all up, I'm going to turn the final question back over to you. Let's go back to that story we started with. 11 rounds, 100 hours of work, code merged into production, and then no offer. What's your call? Is that fair? Is it obviously clearly unfair? Or is that line somehow still blurry for you? And that leaves us with 3 last things to chew on. First, what is the real ethical boundary in hiring? Second, when that line gets crossed, who's really accountable? Is it the recruiter, the hiring manager, the CEO? And maybe the most important question of all, when you see these things happening, is just staying silent the same thing as being complicit? That's a tough one, and it's a question we all kind of have to answer for ourselves.